Yeah, okay. So we're live now. All right. So what's going on, Penny? How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm well, thank you.
That's good. So yeah, we just wait till a couple of people come in the room. But yeah, we're gonna do a broadcast on the propaganda techniques that's used in the watchtower. And what I'll do is I'll kind of explain some of them and try to show how to use, and then you can give some of your commentary on it also. We'll do that. We'll probably stay on for like an hour or so.
Okay.
All right. All right. But first, yeah, yeah, we could like kind of go into like what do you say a kind of swift like synopsis of your history as a witness, kind of like a little short explanation of who you are and how you woke up to the truth.
Um, all right. I'm first generation witness. I come from a fairly large family. There were five children in my family. I was the second. And my parents um, were newly interested and contacted in the door-to-door work. My mother first, and then my father was introduced to an elder who started to study with him. So I've been acquainted with uh, the Watchtower's, let's say, Jehovah's Witness Society for something like 50 years now. I've never been, well, I was disfellowshipped at one point and came back to have association with my family again.
Mm, yeah.
So let's say I started studying with the, I think it was the first version of The Truth That Leads to Everlasting Life book. And my mother studied that with us when we were just little children.
Okay. Um,
Um,
and so when you study now, as you progress, what convinced you that it was the one true organization, or it's just you just
there was nothing that convinced children other than their parents telling them what to believe.
okay, okay, no, no, I take that back because I'm thinking of like me. I wasn't born. A lot of children that's born, there's really nothing against. You just go along because that's all you know. Um, how can I put this?
But
What?
I was virtually forced into the
Mhm.
organization like my other siblings.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a choice. There was
Hmm.
a lot of violence in my home, so in order for me to leave the family home when I finished high school was to get baptized, and so I just did it to get out. Um,
Okay.
I tried to make sense of it.
Yeah.
I really did want to believe that it was something that
Hmm.
was real and true.
Yeah.
I liked the association of a lot of the people,
Hmm.
but my family life was not something that I was proud of at all.
Yeah. Okay. Is that so you let me see how is it? Were you not convinced at all? Did you have some like did you even though you were forced into it, did you have a little inkling that this might be the truth? Like me, I really believed this was the truth I was in. Did you have any belief that this was the truth, or you just went along to get along kind of?
Well, if I think back to when I was baptized, I would see discrepancies between what
Mm-hmm.
the scriptures said and what the literature was saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew from babyhood that we just were not allowed to object. There
Yeah.
was no objecting at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
exactly. Yeah, and then we want to, we don't want to put anything like, main thing a child would never believe that his parents is wrong. Also, they kind of go into it.
That's right.
Now, and before we get into it, we probably still look. What are some red flags you've seen growing up that this is all a sham? What are some of those things before you finally woke up and left?
Um, I was not the kind of person, even as a child, that just ate everything up. I
Mm-hmm.
never was.
Mm-hmm.
There was all kinds of conflict in my family. I saw unfairness at every turn between the way my older sister was treated and the way I was treated, the
Mm-hmm.
way my brother was treated, and the way us girls were treated. There was, if these are red flags, I didn't have a comparison really,
Mm-hmm.
um, because we were not permitted to have association with other
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah.
And I objected at the unfairness. I
Mm-hmm.
saw even unfairness in the Bible, but we were told that was Jehovah's way, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it had to be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You was in there a long time. 50 years. That's longer than I was walking on this. That's a long time. Okay. Well, good.
Thanks. I'm feeling like kind of young now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's wisdom there. It's nothing wrong with
Okay.
the age or things like that. But it's just a lot. You have a lot of stories. I would assume. All right, so we get into this the propaganda techniques, and as you looked it up, we're gonna go through basically 7 basic ones. There's a lot of them, but I looked up 7 basic ones and kind of go into it and how the Watchtower uses that. And I'm gonna say this kind of a sequel to I was watching IMMKT's video the other day. He talked about how to build a cult. One way to build a cult: use propaganda, and you start off with the children because propaganda will have you following this person the whole time. Even when you leave the cult, that propaganda is still being ingrained in your membrane. All
Yes.
right. Yes. Oh.
I also think that they have used psychological weaponry.
Mm,
It's it well, I see that they do use psychological manipulation and
mm,
but the the number that they did on children's minds was cruel and evil.
mm-hmm. Most definitely. Yeah. And now they got this cartoon out, these little cartoon characters. The same thing Hitler did. He used cartoons and TV to get the kids in school. And Watchtower is doing it now. They got these cartoons out and they come out with a episode every week or something, you know, the Caleb and
Hmm.
Sophia, things like
Yes.
that.
Hmm.
All right. So we're going to the first one. One of the first forms of technique. Uh, and I'm gonna show it on the screen. Some
Okay.
testimonials.
Hmm.
It says this technique uses the testimony of a famous or authoritative person to recommend a product. Now I ask you, did you notice that? Uh, do you notice that in hindsight that Watchtower used that?
Yes. What the organization would do is take and select certain families
Mm-hmm.
in the district or the circuit,
Mm-hmm.
and they held them up as the example. In our day, it wasn't like it is now that the governing body are celebrities. The celebrities they actually took from families who were well known, usually if they were pioneers or
Mm-hmm.
the family was headed by the father who was an elder.
Yep. And before the governing body, I started studying '98. And before the governing body, I can guarantee you heard this lady, Sister Nesbit. What that was her name, Sister Nesbit. You ever heard Sister Nesbit? The lady in
No.
Iron Lung. You remember the lady in Iron Lung that she supposedly bringing like a
Oh,
thousand
yes,
people?
yes, yes,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah. That,
Yes.
yeah. So if Sister Nesbit could do it, you could do it, right?
Or if all those brothers and sisters in Africa could cross the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
alligator infested what?
yeah, yeah. Oh
What's
man.
your excuse?
Yeah, exactly. You not no Iron Lung. You can talk. Okay. So
In my family, um, yeah, if you could take the beating and
mm-hmm,
if you could take the assaults,
mm-hmm,
then you were in.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
you
Exactly.
were ready for Armageddon. You could go
Yeah.
through anything.
Oh yeah. That was that hazing from the world. That was that hazing.
Hazing.
Yep. All right. So let me see. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I'm gonna go to JW or hope it don't trigger anybody. I'm gonna go to this website real quick. No, not the
No,
Watchtower Library.
you're
Just to
gonna
show.
give them some.
Yeah,
You're gonna give them
give
some
y'all,
patronage.
I'm
That's
gonna give them some.
awful.
I'm gonna give y'all some nightmares. But I'm just show the receipts of how to use testimonial technique, and we're gonna go back and forth through this. Hold on for a minute. Let me see. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Hold on.
Trigger warning.
Yeah, yeah. Trigger warning, y'all. I just like to come with receipts because I know witnesses are watching my videos. I get the same two thumbs now on all my videos, and I know no XW JW ain't dumbing down my video. I'm the same two JWs. So the JWs is watching. I'm gonna bring receipts to you guys real quick. All right, hold on for a minute, y'all. Hold on. Oh, shit, I did that. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna take this off the screen, Penny. I'm gonna show this real quick. I'll
That's
be right
fine.
back.
Hmm.
Okay, and this is an example of testimonial. Let me see where. Hold on. Okay. I should have had this ready. And if you didn't know the Watchtower Online Library, I think go back to 1950 now. I don't know why they bring them old magazines back, but they bring that stuff back.
I will say something now. The old
Yeah, go
magazines
ahead.
and the old literature, they were to
Uh huh.
be destroyed. They were to be
Yeah.
brought back to the kingdom halls to be
Uh huh.
um, put out of commission.
Yeah. Well, they got them on the website now. So
That's very interesting.
yeah, yeah, it is. But I guess since it's digital, they can really go in and twerk it also.
Well, it's
Um,
interesting that they don't have the Watchtower charters on the jw.org website.
yeah, yeah. That's here we go. Testimonial. Okay. Here's a testimony from Jehovah. Jehovah trusts the slave. That's a testimonial right there. So Jehovah trusts the slave. Why would you trust the slave? That's a testimonial. Jehovah, you see, the slave is trusted by Jesus. This is an example of testimonials. They'll use famous authoritative people to uh, 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 give credentials to what they're selling, which is the faithful slave. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah, so that's what I'm
yes.
going to do through this video. That's just an example what I'm going to do through this video is to go back and forth to show how Watchtower uses these things. And I'm not going to show everything, but just, this is what we studied. This is what we ate up in those boring meetings. While we're falling asleep, our minds are still woke. So you
Oh,
might be dream.
there was no falling asleep for us kids.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
for darn sure.
Wow. So I was falling asleep. My mouth was open and everything, man. My head was going nodding and everything. Because it's like after a while, I worked so much, and going Sunday, they talking slow. I'll be falling asleep, and then my wife would be nodding me from way across the thing, and it irritate me. But I'm like, I gotta say something for my kids.
Well, you missed out on a real treat, let me tell
Oh
you,
yeah, yes I did.
by not being a child.
Mm,
We had to stay awake for hours at the assemblies,
yeah.
hours and hours.
Mm.
Um,
As as a kid, huh?
yeah,
Yeah, and
they
then your
they
your
made us do
attention.
the impossible.
Yeah, and your attention span
Absolutely.
is not even your attention span is not even that long. Even kids don't go to school that long. You have at least a recess and a break, but they start to sit there and not even know what's going on.
Well, it was a long stretch between the beginning of the assemblies and lunch hour.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Yep. Only time you stood was to sing the song. Yep.
That's
All right.
some more
Let's,
propaganda techniques there.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Let me show another one. Let me show one more. Hold on. Show another one before we move on. I'm gonna show another one about the oh. What's this thing? Show another one about what they use. Okay.
I just wanted to say something about that word, the words that they use. Maybe we're going to get to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, maybe I'm getting ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I'm gonna look this up.
the emotional words that they've they've put, or the words that they've associated to the society.
Hmm.
For example, slave.
Yeah.
They put in the minds of everyone, but even children. So parents
Hmm.
had to reinforce it in their family that it was okay to
Hmm.
slave. It was
Yeah.
totally not okay to slave. It still is not okay.
Hmm.
Slavery is illegal.
Yeah.
It's and what it does to children is it depletes their value, the
Hmm.
value of their personhood,
Hmm.
so that they don't even know that they are really worth something.
Hmm. Well, okay. Uh, yeah, yeah. Kind of go with you. I'm gonna take another direction because
Okay,
even if you're a Christian, the word minister is just another word for servant. So, but the thing is, as a Christian, you're serving Jesus. In the watchtower, you're serving the organization, which actually translates into the so-called slave. So when you say slave, it's like who are you slaving to? And it's like if you all religions, you be serving or slaving for your deity or God, but it's like in the organization, you're serving the organization when the organization should be serving you.
but they deluded us uh, into thinking that we were serving God.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we ended up serving God, that's for sure, from what I've come to learn. And
Mhm.
it's not it's the God of this system is the actual God that we were serving
Oh, that's
by
crazy.
every sense of the word.
Oh, that's crazy. All right.
So,
So I hear. Um, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
what I was going to say is that when they've got the minds of children um, convinced, who end up growing up to be adults,
Hmm.
and then we start to understand our own society,
Hmm.
and then we start to understand the religious society that we were in.
Yeah.
It's very painful. Um, it's painful to the extent that it causes emotional upset and um, you know, perhaps even I would venture to say breakdown.
Hmm. Hmm.
Your whole life feels like it was pulled out from underneath your feet.
Yeah. Most definitely. Yep. That could lead to suicide. You're not careful. All right.
It
So here we
does.
go. Let me show these little. I'm not gonna read them, but let me show some of the ways. And this is a word that they use a lot. Remarked. I'm gonna use some of these words they use. But anyway, the testimony is used when they give testimony in Canada. Right here it says one alderman the yearbook. It always talks about people who praise the witnesses uh doing like different disasters or doing a convention. They always use these testimonials, so you think, oh man, the witnesses have such a good reputation. But what they fail to mention is that also people talk bad about them, but they don't mention that. It's just these people that will promote them is because them cleaning up the stadium benefited the people that was supposed to clean, the janitors and stuff like that. Of course, if
Yeah,
I'm a janitor, I'm a praise you for cleaning up because when I come in, I ain't got to do nothing. Yeah, of course I'm gonna do that. So yeah, these are testimonials, and they use the remark and stuff like that. So that's just one example. All right. Let me see my phone.
it's a manipulation to continue or to force make the um, the workers want to do better if they get um, some praise,
Exactly.
you
Yep.
know, here and there.
Yep. And yeah, it puts it into the audience mindset that wow, we're such a good organization. Everyone loves us, except we go to the door and stuff like that. Find out no, everybody don't love you guys.
Hmm.
So let me see. Let me read some of these comments on here. Southern Boss Lady. Hey, Southern Boss Lady, how are you? Woman of the name, how are you doing? Yeah, Southern Boss Lady, she thanked you for coming in today, Penny.
Oh,
She
thank you.
yeah, yeah. You don't know if you're reading the comment. Yeah. They said they love to show the blind brother with many studies. Exactly. Well, I mean, and the stuff seem made up. It's like as you think about it, come on, a blind person teaching somebody with sight. No, it was a blind person teaching a blind man. Yeah, Southern Boss Lady, you right. You right, Southern Boss Lady. Them stories are made up, man. Hey, man, they made them stories up. Some of them probably had some truth in them, but they exaggerated the things, man. Them things was exaggerated. And it's, yep, made that stuff up, man. Let me see. Who else? Another emotional use word they use.
Oh,
Mother. Yeah, mother. I mean, come on, man. So we don't
Victoria,
use father, use mother. That's crazy, man.
that's true.
Yeah, you got anything else to say on testimonials?
Yeah, I looked up a website here. It says generally people idealize celebrity figures, like you were saying before. So celebrities are used to advertise certain products, and our product was everlasting life.
Mm-hmm.
And and like I started to say earlier, or maybe we were talking about it yesterday, but we were to warn people about their imminent death,
Mm-hmm.
and little children had to talk to adults and use these um, techniques, which they weren't even we weren't even we had no idea that we were the instruments of manipulating people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's so crazy. And they use kids, and then I mean, it was a pioneer sister would do that for us. Like she'll ask to take my kids out with her. Um, it was like throwing out a child because they're not gonna disrespect the child, but they're using the child as the bait and switch. Like, here, go knock on the door, sweetie, and then my child knock on the door, and then that's the way for her to get us talk in. Use kids to get your talk in. That's wrong.
Yeah, because people are not going to be rude when children are
Mhm.
present, generally.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
But we
Uh.
weren't we weren't baptized people. Children, we had no right. We had we had no right to be there. None.
Mhm. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You got no right to do that. Especially it should be the child's choice. You don't put a child. That
So
could be
this is
traumatized. The door
so
come
this
out
is
there.
actually this is actually manipulating the child, um, um, to think that they were part of the organization when they really weren't.
Mhm.
They were just pawns. We were just pawns.
Mhm. And that's interesting because they weren't baptized, right? So you weren't part of the organization. Children
No,
weren't baptized. Yeah. That's interesting. I never thought about that.
we had to
Yeah.
take all of the abuse from the school and say we were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Mhm.
Our parents didn't have to do it.
Mhm.
I know my brother was in fights because he was standing up for to be a Jehovah's Witness. The teachers were actually rude, treated us
Mhm.
terribly, um, and we had to prove if we didn't if we if our parents went to the school and actually the teachers um, told our parents that we participated in, I don't know, whatever celebration, we'd get it when we get home.
Mm.
When they got home, we would get. Um, I can't remember getting the strap for doing that.
So the teacher would
Uh,
snitch on you. Is what you're saying? The
yeah.
teacher.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Some of these teachers be slick. They like, oh, don't worry, I want, they're not gonna say I won't tell you, but they're sneaking on the kid. Like it's always just a snack. They used to do that to my daughter. Always just a snack. It's like a birthday cake. My daughter come home and tell me. My daughter actually snitched on what the teacher did. I never had a teacher come snitch if my daughter came and took a snack.
Well, who
Sometimes
would
my
even
daughter.
think that any? I mean, I don't even think that the teachers would snitch. I don't even think that they would. They were probably just thinking that they were helping our parents to do the right. I don't. I have no idea.
Yeah.
All in all, it was just the wrong thing. was
Or, may, or
emotional
maybe
abuse.
or maybe your mom seen that frosting on your lip when you came. You forgot to wipe the frosting off of the cupcakes. All right, so I'm gonna go to the next one. This is the big one, Joe, to you. Called name calling. Now you know about this, right? That this technique discredits an opponent by giving them a negative label. What do you got
Yeah,
to say about that one?
labels,
Mm-hmm.
labels, labels, and say priority or special treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it would it would elevate people's ego if they were on the pioneer list. But at the same time, we would hear rhetoric from the platform that we don't have any special, we shouldn't be treated or think we're any more special than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So you have rhetoric saying that you're not, and the reality that everybody knew, you were judged as more or less spiritual by what position you had if you were a pioneer, however many hours you put in.
Yeah.
That
Now,
that mhm.
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Go-
much finished.
Now, when I say name calling, this name calling is basically kind of things politicians would do when they're in debates and things like that. They slyly call the other person a name or give them a bad label. You know, like this person was a swindler, or he was involved in something scandalous, but they give him a label. So Joe Witness, Joe Witness would do that to opponents.
Oh, I see.
To
Yes,
yeah, to
the
opponents.
world,
Yeah, the world. But
worldly people.
it's another name. It's another name they use to discredit us. It rhymes with state.
Did you say steak?
It rhymes with state. This is what they call the opponents. What's that word they use? The name they use for us. It rhymes with state.
Oh, I'm not.
Apostate.
Oh,
Apostate.
okay.
So
All
yeah,
right. Yes.
yeah, okay, yeah. So the witnesses use this thing. They use the
So
name calling.
that was an evil word.
Yeah, yeah. And it's
You had to
apostate.
avoid those kind of people.
Hmm. And that's how they get us. They get us by calling us name that if you go to the Kingdom Hall, they'll run from you. I mean, I went to the Kingdom Hall like a couple of years ago, and these people, I mean, they didn't even want to get by me. It's like they walked to me, but it's like they actually had to move over when I walked in. It's like they were so scared to get even 2 inches near me. And it's like I didn't say nothing about you guys. I didn't do nothing, but the word got out that I don't believe no more. And when I went there, the people were scared. If I stood by the door, I can guarantee you, them people would not even try to open the door. They would have stood there and wait till I moved. It was like they were scared to touch me, to get a foot by me. They were scared, like I was gonna eat them up or something. So the witnesses would do this. They will name call so that the members inside will not even listen because they'd be too scared to even get near.
That's true.
I'm gonna share the screen real quick, and I'm gonna show you how they do this. Yes, mentally diseased. Yeah, that's right. Mentally diseased, apostate, mentally diseased, agent of Satan, and that's ridiculous. I mean, apostate just doesn't have to do with religion. Apostate could be a political individual that went from one party to the next. Not just have to do with religion, but they took that word and changed the whole meaning. Yes, bad association. Yes.
I see.
So I'm
I see. Woman of the Nang said. Now her comment is removed.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
mm,
Okay, I'm keep talking. I'm gonna share my screen real quick again, show you kind of things they put in the magazine. Go ahead, keep talking. Kenny.
it was Woman of the Nag. She mentioned that about apostates, um, but I've forgotten what she's written. But
Oh
several
yeah, she said.
boss lady has written bad association. That's another trigger word or another Oh, so apostate, yes, mentally diseased agents of Satan. That's true. That's the terminology that was used. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, and
Spiritually
spiritually
weak.
weak. That's
Yep.
true. Not spiritually mature.
These words ain't make sense, man. Okay. Yeah. So if you're gonna
But there was no questioning these things. You just had to accept it. And women,
mhm.
definitely, women and female children, you knew from little, that there was no being critical, of anything, or thinking
Mhm.
logically. You just
Yeah.
took these terms
Yeah.
and used them in your own vocabulary.
Mhm. And as you seen right here in the Watchtower Library, I put apostate. It's mentioned 837 times, and none of them's good. This is name calling and propaganda used in the Watchtower. I don't think apostate's even in the Bible that many times. They ain't took that one word, and it's not even. I don't think it's in the Bible that many. I don't think it's in the Bible 2 times. You know what I'm saying? But
I
they took that word
remember
and put it so many times.
I remember the definition of apostate, and it was a person who decided that they didn't want to believe in God. It was actually, atheist. That
Hmm.
was apostate. Was a person who didn't believe in God or Jesus anymore.
Yeah, that's what, and that's not even the definition of a. That's not even the definition of apostate. Atheist is not. What did they? What did atheists leave from? I mean, Buddhists or atheists, they didn't really need from nothing.
Well,
They just
everybody
redefined
was
the
to
word.
believe. Everybody was to believe in God and Christ
Hmm.
Jesus. That was, I mean, our society actually is a propaganda machine as well.
Exactly. Yes.
Jehovah's Witnesses didn't, corner the market on propaganda, but they
Yeah.
sure took advantage of what was popular, uh, in society.
Hmm. Exactly. But again, that's how you get the cult, you get the members brainwashed through the propaganda. This is how you get the members to do this, and it's like, why can't we wake these people up? Because our propaganda, we don't use propaganda, but our facts is not as strong as propaganda because it goes deep. Propaganda goes deep to a certain part of the brain that sometimes facts and what you show that's opposite, it doesn't reach that part. It doesn't, it doesn't remove that. Yeah, so worldly. Okay, yeah, but just kind of showed what we read, what we ate up, all these words in the magazine, and you reading this, listening to it on Sunday, these words stick in your mind. This is the propaganda they use, and now you ain't got to read it; you can watch it on the JW broadcast. Okay. Oh, but
Yeah,
oh.
this word worldly, like I mentioned before, it was it was associated with everything bad. That's what
Yeah,
automatically came to your mind.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hold on, my froze. I'm trying to get back on. Um,
But
yeah, my
actually, the
internet
word
must be
the
bad. I'm
word
trying. I'm trying to get.
worldly, the word worldly really is, it means, it refers to a person who is aware of their surroundings, of what is going on,
Hmm.
whether it be in politics, um, or with law and legislation, or how traveled a person is,
Hmm.
how educated a person is.
Hmm. Yeah. It's not really a bad word. I mean, but if you want to put people in a certain group and make them feel evil, oh, yeah, you're worldly. I mean, what are we? What are we? Outer spacely? I mean, what are we? When you break down the thing, we're all worldly because we're in the world. What are we? I mean, what are we? We oceanly? What are we? You know what I'm
Well,
saying? They take their words. Come on,
I
man.
remember from a little child that was something that you didn't want to be. We were supposed to be separate. Like
Hmm.
Jesus was no part of the world. His
Hmm.
kingdom actually was no part of the world, but that was changed.
Hmm.
that was
Exactly.
changed over time to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they tweaked that. So
Mm-hmm.
when we were no part of the world, that meant we wouldn't participate in voting or
Mm-hmm.
in military service.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Now this guy Marshallville, you see that right there? He says that JW told me that God chose not to know certain things, like future events, for example. Is that what? Uh, yeah, yeah. That's a yeah. Watchtower teaches that he chooses not to know. He has close that door, 'cause yeah, he chooses not to know. And that's why he didn't know Adam and Eve was gonna eat the fruit. Apparently. Um, yeah.
Yep.
So that. All right. All right. Yeah. So you have anything else to say about that, Penny, on the name calling?
Um, but I just wanted to also mention that people at school would call Jehovah's Witnesses
Mm,
names too,
yeah. Hmm.
and that was that was to as a kind of a propaganda method that our community would use to warn people about us.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. Of course, propaganda goes. I mean, politicians, advertisers, everything is which is trying to get people on its side is going to use propaganda. Yeah, that's pretty much evident. And Joe Winners, they use it to get followers because that's how you do. Every cult uses it to get followers. That's what they do.
Hmm.
You know, and to keep them in. Yep. All right. So go to the next one, which is transfer. It says this technique associates the negative or positive qualities of a person or thing to discredit it or make it acceptable. Okay, so I was saying last night that you have Santa Claus drinking a Coke, you'll have a certain celebrity put shoes on, you'll have a naked woman, Paris Hilton eating Carl Jr. hamburger. You'll have these things to put their qualities on that product, so people who like that they go through it. You ever witness it? You ever notice that Joe Winters did that?
Um, well, yes, they're in their literature.
Hmm.
They would associate, let's say, Satan with a snake, or God or Jesus with light. Um, the front of the Watchtower and Awake magazines, I remember the Watchtower would was very skilled at putting negative images
Hmm.
to what I felt at the time um, was to scare us into to staying away from the world.
Hmm. Exactly. I'm gonna share my screen again. I will show you something interesting. When you speak of the word apostate, I'm gonna show you how to use transfer with that. It's very interesting how they did it. Hold on, let me tell you. Let me show you how they use the word apostate, how they transfer that. It's funny how they do this. Hold on. Uh, It says, hold on, where's that? All right. The foremost apostate has pursued a relentless course of resistance to the God of truth. And it goes down to Satan. Why I put it Satan apostate? So this is a form of transfer. Anytime they talk about Satan, they use Satan and put his negative qualities. They transfer his negative qualities to apostate. See
Yes.
that Satan does not allow a does not always attack like a lion. Many times he come on at a subtle, stealthy way. serpent. Even this is the form of transfer. What they do when the accurate, Satan, the devil will. Oh man, computer got a lag and it's like it's going down. This ain't nothing but Satan. This ain't nothing but the devil move my computer like this. All right, anyway, let me see. Let me see. It may be probably said that God's adversary was Satan, as indicated by the name Satan. Misleading people and has used apostate. So right there, they use transfer all the time in there, and so these subtly begin in the subtly creeping ways of worshipers of Satan. That's why you get these witnesses calling apostates serpents of Satan or sons of Satan, worshippers of Satan. It's like, dude, I don't even worship Satan. How you calling me that? Because their watchtower is telling them that. Their watchtower has feed them that information throughout the years, and now they associate apostate with Satan. Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna move on. I just want to show one more form of transfer, and then we can move on. Let me see. Come on, hurry, man. That penny. Oh,
Or let me just say that they used women in
uh huh.
a negative context, like they used Eve.
Uh huh.
Eve was
Yeah.
considered um, a bad influence, and so women got that title, and we had to wear that all of our
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Yeah. They do. Yeah. They do. Hold on for a minute, Penny. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I was like, uh, I'm being
I just
requested
wanted
for something.
to
Okay.
say something quick about God's organization. There was no such thing
Mm-hmm.
in the scriptures. There is
Mm-hmm.
no such thing in the scriptures.
Yeah. 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 You don't even read that word in. That word's not even in there. Like,
No, it is not.
yeah. Yeah. Organization.
But
Like
they
God's
want to
organization.
manipulate Jehovah's Witnesses into thinking that it is. And Jehovah's Witnesses will actually say the messages that they hear from the platform or that they read in the literature. They'll actually say it, but not believe it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's that's crazy, man. Like, man, this is.
This is what I'm
Oh,
talking about,
boy.
psychological weaponry. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
be true to your own conscience. When
Mm-hmm.
you read the Bible and then
Yeah.
you have to support the organization.
Yes. Sometime. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So this thing is messing up. It's going haywire.
It's all right. Take your
Yeah.
time.
Oh no, go ahead. No, no, don't mind me. I'm just my computer is like lagging. I'm trying to.
You can
I'm
tell a little
sorry,
bit
Penny.
with
Don't
the
mind
sound
me.
as well. So I
Yeah.
see here
All right.
on my website here. Can you hear me? That
Yeah, I hear you.
that repetition is a
Uh
technique.
huh.
Constantly saying these things, constantly hearing it. And I remember when I was a young mother and I had my daughter at the meetings, and it, I could tell it was hard for her to just be there, of course. I was also a
Mm-hmm.
child.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I would go to the meeting, before I would go to the meeting, I would think, how many times do we have to hear the same things? How many times? At what point do you
Uh-huh.
hear it enough? Like it's not like they have
Mm-hmm.
a graduated system. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you've been in the organization for say 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years, 50 years, um,
Mhm.
at what point do you stop hearing the same stuff? Why don't they have a meeting for the newly interested, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I just couldn't take it. I couldn't take it anymore. I just had to decide what was my priority. Going to a meeting and hearing the same thing over and over again, and maybe the circuit overseer or a convention saying something new that had to be changed, or the kingdom ministry that you'd hear maybe the changes that they've come up with,
Mhm.
um, but very
Yeah. Exactly.
rarely. And in my circumstances, I slowly decided that I couldn't invest the time to go to the
Mhm.
meetings all the time.
Exactly. Mhm. Yeah. The repetition is like people think because they use repetition, they got nothing else to say. No, they use repetition because that's the way you keep it in somebody's mind. You help them
Hmm.
remember it. Keep saying it over and over. They don't have nothing else to say, or they run a thing. No, they saying repetition because they keep repeating the same things they want you to know and understand.
Hmm.
All right. So let me just read some of these comments real quick. I don't want the people that's tuning in. It's just yeah. So Southern Boss Lady said, let me see. Now we know why we're not allowed to ask questions or have any discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, this laptop is going crazy. Okay. We can only answer their prepared answers. We can only yeah, it's like that's not even answering. It's like yeah, it's not even answering. It's basically reading the script. It's like, okay, uh who is the governing body? The governing body is such and such. They'll tell you the answer, then have you read it. You can't say your own thing. You can't have your own mind. That's crazy.
Well, there were certain things that
See.
were a given. But when it came to the understanding of a scripture, let me just share something with you. When I was growing up as a child, and
Uh-huh.
and you get to a point in school where you realize that you can comprehend your language. You can comprehend what you're
Uh-huh.
reading. So in school, you can read a book, answer questions about the book,
Mhm.
and you can be right. You could even read the scriptures, understand what's going on in the scriptures, but then, like in the examining the scriptures daily, they'll have commentary associated with the scripture. And
Mhm.
when the commentary associated with the scripture doesn't add up to what you've read,
Mhm.
you start doubting your own intelligence.
Uh-huh.
And it's really damaging. And it's really damaging when you're a child.
Mhm.
You start to
Yeah, but
think
see
that
the
you
daily
can't read properly.
yeah. Yeah. But the daily text is nothing but a paragraph of the watchtower. It's like I got the daily text, but we already read this. Give me something new. My grandma used to have a periodical called Our Daily Bread. She used to get that back in the day, and they would
They
have like different
they still
experiences of
publish it.
people. They still do. Okay, I'm saying that was better than the daily text because daily text is nothing but an old watchtower you read last year, just a paragraph, and people read it like, "Oh man, I never thought it." I'm like, you didn't pay attention when that was read through the watchtower study.
No,
It
no, they were sleeping
is, yeah,
with
they
their
were
eyes
sleeping.
open.
Yeah, with the eyes open. But that's what soldiers do. So we were soldiers. We sleep with our eyes open. And look, Southern Boss Lady said you use the same 25, same 25 ones. Yep. Yep. Psalm 83:18. John 3:16 is the same 25 one.
Revelation, Revelation
Revelation
21, 3 and
124.
4.
Yep. Oh man, the same 25 script. That's funny, man. Oh man, yeah. All right. All right, I'm going to the next one. Let me see. We got I think four more. Let me see. Got a couple of more. Wait. Here's the next one. Oh yeah, speaking of transfer, they transfer God with the organization. So that's another form of transfer. Another one is bandwagon.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you ever see
It
that in the
aims
Watchtower
it
or on the
aims
stage?
at persuading people to do a certain thing because many other people are doing it. And by the same
Mm-hmm.
token, they use what they call snob appeal for only certain people, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
elders or pioneers
Mm-hmm.
or missionaries or Gilead students uh, can do a certain thing because they're qualified, they're spiritually qualified,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a way that I mean they kept record of your performance. And when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
I never knew what what the criteria was. You just but if the elders say approved you as an auxiliary pioneer, well, that meant you were somewhat spiritually acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Um,
But
one way. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and when they this bandwagon is terminology is or term is to make people feel like either they're included uh, or part of the group. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they give an
Yeah. It's kind of
example
like
here of
when
a
you had the.
soft drink advertisement where a large group of people are shown drinking the same soft drink,
Mm,
so
yeah.
everybody's doing
Exactly.
it.
Yep.
But the organization always said, "Don't go along with the crowd."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, there were double messages about that. So it's okay to go along with the
Mm-hmm.
crowd in the organization, but not to go along with the crowd at school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly.
then there were, but then
What they.
we were taught to judge people, even even um, other peers that were going to school. We would have to judge whether they were good association or bad association, like I think Southern Boss Lady brought
Mhm.
out earlier.
Yeah.
So we were always judging other people. But
Mm-hmm.
but this bandwagon term is propaganda, right?
Exactly. And they do a lot during the assemblies. A lot of times we have a great increase, or even when they do the yearbook, when they do those statistics and those numbers and showing an increase, that's
Hmm.
a form of bandwagon. They show the increase because they never show a decrease. They always show the increase. And a lot of times it's the peak number that they use, but that's not really showing that it's an increase. They use the highest number. And I mean that could be like one day during when they used to do. Remember doing the Memorial season where you can do 30 hours instead of I think 50 for the Pioneer. And so a
Yes,
lot of people would sign up for the Pioneer because yeah, they would use that peak number during that time. But then the rest of the year, the Pioneer number goes down. So the bandwagon they use these at the convention to show that see how everyone is getting becoming pioneers. So much Kingdom Halls are being built. You know, it's like, oh man, well, why I'm not part of? I need to be a part of this. And this how you get. This how they get you during the assembly. The assembly convention is nothing but a more of a sales thing where it's trying to get people um going. It's a motivation where give live testimonials, things like that, to make you feel that man, what have I been doing the past year, and can I do more? Look at all these people, look at young kids up here doing this. Look at these older people in the wheelchairs and things. What I did this last year, and that's why people say, "Oh man, I came from this convention. I felt so motivated and through." Well, yeah, of course you did because you watching people in a different situation from you say how well they did, and you feel guilty. It's a guilt trip.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna read
yes.
the comment. Okay,
They drew a lot of
I'm
comparisons between members of the organization also guilt tripping like that.
mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Why can't
Yes,
you be
woman
like,
in name said, yeah, yeah, exactly. Why can't
sorry.
you do it? And this shows a seed of competition within the members and a seed of envy, and it puts pressure
Oh,
on a person that yeah, it puts a pressure on a person that, man, I'm not doing it, and you feel like you're not doing enough. And this is not the way you motivate people. You know, if you were to go really what Jesus said, he gave certain people a certain number of talents, 110, 1, 5, 1. But the watchtower doesn't do that. Watchtower looks at the most handicapped person and say, well, if this person can do it, you can do it. And that's not how you this lead person to a thing of depression because you feel I'm not pleasing my God. What am I living for? You know?
yes. And
Yeah.
then people start to resent the disabled people because they
You
wish they
showing
weren't
off.
a wheel.
You're showing off, man. You're showing off in that wheelchair. Yeah, yeah, man. You don't. That's wrong. You don't sow competition among the people, especially if we we're trying to we're barely making it. In this day and age, a lot of people, especially the economy we live in, you're barely making it. So you got to work longer hours sometimes. You got to do
if
more. And it's like to make people feel guilty for not doing what you feel they should be doing. That leads into a depressive state and anxiety, and a lot of witnesses are on those things: depression, anxiety, medication. Because of what the governing body put in there.
David Wicklund says here, if we're not perfect according to the JW definition of being perfect, then we're outcasts from the Watchtower Club. Hmm. Family included.
Hmm.
Iconic.
Yep.
I mean, ironic that JW's first excuse for what Watchtower does wrong is imperfection.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. No one can
Yeah.
be
Oh,
imperfect
yeah.
but the governing
Just
body. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they can't get everything right, but they're still
Yeah.
chosen and
Hmm.
to be to be the example. Well,
Hmm.
we know better. We can use them as an example then, and use what words Jeffrey Jackson and the other elders on the at the Australian Royal Commission did.
Hmm.
Hold them to what they said.
Exactly. Hmm. Yeah, but you can't really, because then they're gonna sit there. If you even give a hint, then you're gonna be marked and things like that. If you give any hint that you own to them, they're gonna be marked by those underneath them.
Oh, there's another
It's
word,
crazy.
marked,
All right,
marked,
yeah, marked.
right? Marked.
It's crazy, and that's one part of the Bible, and they take one part of the Bible, you take out of context, and apply it in a whole different thing what it's meant to be. But I'm gonna go to the next one. This one is card stacking.
Hmm.
You, what you say about that one?
Card stacking. Do you have your website there? I was opening up no, I'm not getting it. Hold on. Do you have the definition?
Yeah, yeah. Card stacking basically it's a technique where they take an issue and they stack all the cards on one side of the issue and repress the other side to we encourage perception of that issue. It encourages the perception of a certain issue by bringing out the good of one side and leaving out the negatives. So,
That's
for instance, I think last week they studied the magazine on bans. They watched a magazine on bans, or when the witnesses will be banned. Um, it was basically saying that when you banned, don't give the police information because you endanger other people. It was last week they did it. It was basically if the watch hours can be banned, what they need to do. Now, card stacking in the ban situation, they'll focus on the persecution part, but they will repress the information of why they're banned in the first place. See, they don't bring out the whole issue of
that's
why
right.
they're banned in Russia. They, card stacking is you're only bringing out one side of the issue because you want the audience to focus on that side and you want to influence the perception of the issue.
That's right.
So when it comes to ban, Joe Biden's not gonna sit there and say, "Oh, well, Seventh Day Adventists is banned in Russia, Mormons are banned in Russia." They'll put it as, "Oh man, they're just persecuting us. We're being persecuted for worship."
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Well,
that's an example of card stacking.
that's right. And I think you also mentioned it earlier about statistics, the statistics of, you know, peak publishers, peak pioneers, that kind of thing. They
Mm-hmm.
fail to put in, or they deliberately do not put the um, the number who were disfellowshipped, or um, and they can do that because none of the judicial committee uh, information is privy to anybody except the elders and the person who's being held under the microscope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a secret society. Well, you have to be a certain level to get certain information. Information is a need to know basis in the organization. Elders know things that the public circle overseers know things that elders and it's a level where certain information is distributed out. It's like why are elders getting only letters that other people can't read? If we're all God's brothers, are we? I mean, we're all God's children. We're all brothers and sisters. Why is this person getting a letter that we're not? What's so important in that letter that we can't understand it?
um, yeah, and
Maybe somebody's
I just a side point about that. Um, being being privy or not privy to information as a woman in the organization.
mm-hmm,
Women were just supposed to accept that. Uh,
mm-hmm,
that women didn't have the same level of approval by God.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They did put women down, and it just comes from a whole traditional reading of the Bible. It's like how you put it? How are women not allowed to be ministerial servant? Weren't there deaconess in the Bible? When there were deaconess, a deaconess is basically a ministerial servant. Other churches call them deacons, but
Hmm.
ministerial servants. Wasn't there deaconess in there? Wasn't there prophetess in the Bible?
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
they
So
were judges as
yeah,
well.
so how is woman not allowed to do anything but go door to door?
Well, it was interesting that
That's
the
it. How
at the Australian Royal Commission, Justice McClellan actually um, spoke about uh, Deborah, who was a judge, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
It was Deborah,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was disputed. Jeffrey Jackson. Well, I mean, I'm not going to go into it because I want to get my facts straight. But
Mhm,
um, the Chief Justice at the Australian Royal Commission had information about uh, the status of women in the Bible, and they
mhm.
didn't want to accept it.
So yeah, so he basically talked right over that. He talked right through. He didn't even explain that. Huh? He just talked right through
Right.
it.
Mhm.
He shouldn't even. What was he up there for? Like you supposed to be ready to make a defense. You sit there and just ignore totally that what this man said. He basically like, oh well, we are the guardian of doctrine. You don't need to worry about that stuff. Let us teach that. You know.
That's what the line of reasoning that I was thinking that he was saying. Well, that's because uh, we are the experts in
Hmm.
this, and you're the experts in that. So
Yeah. Stay in your lane. What he's saying.
yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then yeah, and you could tell he had a lawyer in that
But
room.
I want to say that that even Jehovah's Witnesses or former Jehovah's Witnesses like us um, need to object to the fact that they didn't put that they didn't upload that onto the website of
Hmm.
jw.org. And why?
Yeah. There you go.
This is
Yeah.
part
That's
of
another form of Carstacking.
that. Hmm.
Yeah. They didn't put the Royal Commission on the website under. They put everything else. They didn't put that part underneath there.
Right.
Yep. Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. They left that out. They kindly forgot about that part. So when you tell a witness they're in Australia for that, they say no, that's not true. Because if it's not on JW.org, it's fake news.
That's right. But that's
Let me read some of these comments.
okay.
Yeah, child. Yeah,
They
let me
would
read some
read
of
out
these.
the list of pioneers.
Yeah, for Memorial Season, encourage
Excuse
others
me.
to join by letting everyone know that elderly. Yeah, they let you know
Join
that.
them by letting
I mean,
everyone
they
know
used
that
to come on stage.
elderly, infirm, and busy people were doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. You ever did this at their hall? They bring the pioneers on stage during the meeting. They did that one time, and then like the elder had to go get the lady in a wheelchair
Hi,
and push her
Victoria,
up.
by the
Like
way.
is that it? Huh? Oh yeah. They had to get time. They took time out of me and show these people up there. And it's like it was more than last season. And they kept highlighting that. So if you sit in the thing like, man, why am I not doing that? Why am I not on that list? And then you get the apply, so you're thinking, man, if I get up there, I might get the apply.
Well, listen,
Anyone ever heard of regular?
I remember being little and thinking that anybody could just have their name written out as being disfellowshipped at any time. I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was under the impression that, your parents could have you disfellowshipped if you were being
Okay, I never knew
say
that.
what's that?
I never knew your parents could have you
Well,
this fellowship. Yeah, I never knew that.
well, yeah, I was always threatened with that by my mother. Well, yeah,
Wow.
they could report you as being disobedient, or how did the Bible describe hard-hearted? Um,
Hmm.
so I
Rebellious.
suspected that I suspected that any time, by getting in trouble all the time at home, that my
Hmm.
name could be read out.
That's crazy. You know what that is? That's the
That's
witness version of sending the kids to Scared Straight. Remember Scared Straight? They used to send the kids to prison, let them know. Threaten the kids with being a spell. That's the witness version of being Scared Straight. I'm gonna send you to the mail. You better be cool.
keep your eyes open during the meeting, and you won't be disfellowshipped.
yeah, yeah. That back room was Scared Straight. Child abuse. David Wicklin. David Wicklin said, "Child abuse to them is excused as imperfection." That was the
Yeah.
first thing
Oh,
that local
yeah.
elder
That's
in
right.
Wisconsin said.
Oops. Yeah, I just lost control, but that's okay. That was the first thing the local elders here in Wisconsin said when I started missing meetings.
Okay, okay. So when they talk about the Catholic Church, that's imperfection too. Then it shouldn't be no double standard. So the Catholic Church, they're imperfect people too. Those priests are imperfect too. Then you know, if that's your
Well,
reasoning,
exactly. Why
yeah,
are the governing body not disfellowshipped according to their own
yeah,
doctrine? They need to
exactly.
be disfellowshipped. but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
They just made a
Exactly.
mistake. But if uh, you know, you or I decided to try a cigarette when we were 12 or 13 or 15 or 18 or whatever, and somebody saw us at school, that wasn't just imperfection.
Mm.
That was disfellowshipping material. That
Yeah. That was brazen. That was brazen conduct. You brazen. You out there being brazen. You know, you you brazen out there at school. But the government body just imperfect. We're brazen. Let me let me see. Let's see. Auxiliary pioneer. All these names, and then let me see. It, it redefines rank and file using Scientology labeling. Let me see. Um, Southern Boss Lady said they get less attention because they want them to become regular. Card stacking is also used in regard to the blood issue. Vicky Lemonade said that yes, they do that. You remember the
is this in relation to? Is she referring to how many people? They don't report how many people die.
they
We
don't.
don't
But
report that.
I think what you're saying is that it's like remember we were saying that when they do those medical those prescription commercials where they spend 30 seconds talking about the good effects and then at the end they talk about my side effect might be all that fast stuff, the side effects they don't say it to the end. I think what
The
witnesses do,
500 side effects.
yeah, witnesses will do. They'll say, oh, blood. They'll say all the people came out of blood transfusions good, but they won't come up with the fact that a lot of times the only way to save life is through blood. You cannot do. I mean, you could put expanders in there, but if I'm losing blood, a person has is a guy in my hall. He died of contaminated blood. Blood expanders not going to hold. You need a clean flush. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna go in things like that and say, oh, you know, maybe he just need a blood expander. No, something in your blood is infected. You have bacteria in it. It needs to be cleaned out. They're not gonna come and say that it's only some things. Only thing you can get is through blood. They talk about these blood alternatives, but blood alternatives is not always the answer. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you will die if you don't take blood.
You need the whole. And
Yeah, yeah.
the most irrational thing is that they wouldn't even allow you to take your own blood back in. For example, if you
Mhm.
were giving birth and lost blood, you
Mhm.
lost the volume, but you need all of
Mhm.
it to replenish
Mhm.
your system. Your
Mhm.
your own blood was forbidden.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's crazy. It's
you
like and
just have to die and leave your child.
yeah. But yeah,
But
what they'll say is, "Oh, he loved Jehovah so much." It wasn't that he died. Listen, he died because he loved Jehovah so much. He didn't die because he didn't take blood. He died because he just loved Jehovah so much.
hmm but what about all the children that had to accept that in order to
Yeah.
stay in the organization with their family and social network? What does
Mhm.
that actually do to the mind and emotions of people who do not consciously accept just letting somebody die like that?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
they must, in order to have their whole life, their family, their social network.
Mhm. Yeah.
So they kill you. You
That'll
have
grow
to.
with scarred.
It's a killing of your soul. To go against your
Mhm.
conscience is to go against your your being, yourself. And
Mhm.
to be a witness for any length of time, Jehovah's Witness for any length of time, you have to lose yourself. I see
Mhm.
my father. He's lost his self.
Mhm.
He doesn't show even his value. Um, um, it's a sad state of affairs.
It is. What do they call that? What do witnesses call losing yourself? They call it something. Losing yourself is called something in witness vernacular.
Oh, being selfless?
Called putting on a new personality.
Oh, yes.
They take these. they take these Bible words and they redefine them. But and to you witnesses who might be listening, when they say put on a new personality, it just means lose yourself. That's all it means. Because a new personality is not really you. It's a concocted presence or persona you put out there. That's what that new personality is.
Okay, so say you were
Yeah, I remember I
violent.
had a
They
blood
like to,
transfusion issue.
pardon? Go ahead.
Oh no,
Repeat.
go ahead. No, no, yeah, no. I'm just saying that. Yeah, I was just reiterating. Yeah, that's just new personality, just a persona that a witness has to have in order to be in good standing and not looked at suspiciously. That's how I was just reiterating.
I see. Um,
Yeah, you saying something about being violent.
oh, the new personality and being, well, they used to use the illustration about having violent, uh, say a violent past. There was nobody
Mm-hmm.
more violent than than a lot of the parents, including my
Mm-hmm.
own mother
Mm-hmm.
in the organization, and they wanted people to check the how they're themselves, how they measure up
Mm-hmm.
according to the fruitage of the spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you from personal experience that that organization didn't didn't improve our family life. It didn't, like
Yeah.
the Watchtower mandate, their own charter says that they were to improve the lives of men, women, and children. And by
Mm-hmm.
manipulating people psychologically and using these propaganda methods, they're actually
Mm-hmm.
they're actually harming society, men, women, and children, not helping them.
Mm-hmm.
But see,
Exactly.
people in the organization could not object or even um, know about the charter first of all, or know what the expectations were for us. What were
Mm-hmm.
the expectations? That we were to be no part of the world. That was pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else
Yeah,
is
that's pretty much it.
everything else is just open season.
But it's just always putting on a good front in front of the world and other witnesses. Whatever you do behind closed doors, it's not our concern. It has to be two witnesses. It's like I can sit there and not watch violent movies. Okay, I can not watch violent movies when other people are over, but I'm not inviting people over my house. I'm not being hospitable to you. I'm um I'm being in cliques and things like that. I'm not showing love. These things are not easily seen besides that one person, but it's easy to see like being an overeater. That's one thing the Bible talks about. But they don't focus on it. It focuses on heavy drinker. These things are easier to see. It's always putting a good front of other people. And that's what they're main concerned about is the front you put out.
Yeah.
Not so
But
much as
any
the sin of things because yeah, that's why you have elders that can sit there and talk to you like you little kids or disrespect you. And I even had an elder cuss one time. It slipped out, and I'm like, "Dang, man, it slipped out." I'm like, "Man, if it slipped, that means you must be doing it on regular because stuff you ain't doing regular don't slip." But he's an elder because he goes out because he gives good talks. But the stuff he do behind closed doors, that's not regulated. It can't be. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about the front you
well,
put out, and that's what Doberman is all about.
who Jumanji were the regulars, the regulators. Who were the best regulators?
Yeah.
They were the children. The
Uh,
children could see everything.
Mm-hmm. But they don't have a voice though, so they can't go tell because nobody's gonna listen to the children. They don't.
Well,
Children didn't have a voice.
nowadays, especially with the publicity about Jehovah's Witnesses, now teachers are watching out for the kids. I know
Mm-hmm.
there's a former JW. I'm not going to use names because I didn't ask any permissions to use names before this. But he actually was rescued by teachers who saw that things weren't quite right emotionally with him,
Mm-hmm.
and he was actually
Yeah,
taken out of his family so that he would be safe.
that's crazy. The world
And
did that.
yes,
Yeah, Satan's
and
word did that.
as a child, I instinctively knew that if I disclosed if I disclosed information about what was going on in my family, that there was a possibility that we would be something would happen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe myself and my siblings would be um, split up.
Mm-hmm.
So we just lived our lives. We lived our lives in fear. I'm not the only one.
Yeah, that's yeah.
We lived our lives in fear. If somebody wanted to comment, I'd be interested in seeing the comments of our viewers who
Yeah,
were raised in the cult, because
yeah. Let me read a couple.
terrorism is
Let me read a couple of these.
terrorism, even in by the world standards, is um, one of the top crimes.
Uh-huh.
I can't see. I'm going
Yeah,
to put
that
my
yeah.
glasses on again.
Oh, okay. Dave Wicklund said the midweek talks during service may include talks with comments about guilt and shaming people if they are not pioneers. Works outshine other judgmentalism off the charts. Yeah, you used to do it slyly. They should. It
Yeah.
used to be the way they used. It used to be a slide talk. It didn't outright come out and say, guilt these people and do it. It was kind of like it's like I can't remember. Some dude at the hall, he gave a talk. He one time said, yeah, it was a brother. He seen another brother doing bad, and he said, I'm gonna give you 3 days to go tell the elders, or I'm gonna do it. And it's like, okay, you're not telling the person to do it. You're giving them a what's that thing called? You're giving them
Ultimatum.
a ultimatum. Yeah. So they do stuff like that. It's like an ultimatum, and it's like guilting, but they do it slyly, so that when somebody try to call them and say, "Oh, we never told our congregation to do that," well, yeah, you did. You goaded us into it's like okay, it's like at the convention. Okay, we don't tell people where to sit, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna block the back rows up. Okay, you ain't telling me where to sit, but there's only one row to sit in. Stuff like that. That's the witness culture. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Or what about when we were parents and we had to sit in the back row, and there was like two and three
Uh
back rows, and all of the
huh.
kids are busy talking to each other in the back rows.
Uh huh.
What
Yeah.
was that supposed to do? But yeah, they don't tell
Yeah.
us where to sit. No, we're free to sit wherever
Yeah.
we
Yeah. They
want
don't tell us nothing.
in the back rows.
Yeah. 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 You're free. Yeah. We don't tell you where to sit, but we're gonna tell you what part you can see. You can choose over here in this section. It's how. That's what cults do, man. It's like they give you free will to do what they want you to do within their circle. It's a restricted free will. Let me see what else they said. The name Bullseye on C. Let me see what else they said. On CSA. Hold on. Let me see what he said. I think we
I'm
have one
glad.
more. It's
I'm
one more
glad David. I'm glad David
technique.
Wicklund is hanging in.
Yeah, yeah, we went. Yeah, yeah. This hour went by. We went on for a long. It went by kind of fast. But yeah, I'm happy they're hanging on. I like the audience. I like the people listening to chime in too because sometimes they go in a little deeper too. It says on CSA. What is that? On CSA, I had a JW. On CSA, I had a JW still talks to me. Reason the way, and I reminded how for decades we accused and judged all other religions regarding CSA or
child,
other
child.
child. Oh, okay, child
Is it
sexual. Okay, I didn't know what CSA was. Oh,
child
child.
sexual
Yeah, it
abuse?
must be on child sexual abuse. I had a JW who talked to me, reasoned that way, reasoned that way, and I reminded him for decades we accused and judged. Yeah, exactly. They
Well,
like to judge other religion, but when it come to them,
that was the determining factor whether God was with the organization or not. Is if
hmm
like the Catholic Church priests were had a reputation of abusing the children sexually,
hmm
that was supposed to be
hmm
the reason to jump on the bandwagon, on the JW bandwagon, right?
hmm
So
and we was
how
all up
many,
on that.
yeah,
Yeah, we was all up on that. Yeah, anytime we heard something in the news, we couldn't wait to go on field service and share that with other people, man. And then they put that in the watchtower. We couldn't wait to do that, to download. Especially we have family. We couldn't wait to expose other religious scandals and things like that. We could
but
not
in
wait.
but in our own
Well, me,
religion,
yeah. Speaking for me, I could not wait to expose other religions. You know what I'm saying?
but
Yeah,
in our own religion, we had to accept what was the unacceptable until
yeah,
Jehovah fixed it.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, that double standard. That's
And
crazy.
what
The
exactly
whole
would
double
that look
standard.
like? What exactly would that look like, Jumanji? Jehovah fixing it.
Mhm.
Would it be something like what's happening
Yeah,
now? Possibly.
yeah, yeah. Could it be the court cases? Could this be Jehovah fixing, cleaning out uh the bad stuff on the earth? Jehovah Witness. So yeah, we might be waiting. This might be Jehovah cleaning it out according to them.
Let's
But
accept
no, it's
that.
persecution. Yeah, it's persecution. No, the Jehovah Witness is persecution.
But
Them
if you look,
being in court is
Jumanji,
just
but if we look back at what the persecution was that the Christians were suffering, is because they were accepting the law of love. Jesus knew his new system,
mhm,
as opposed to the punishment system of the Jewish nation. He
exactly.
he brought about the system of love and compassion. This was the persecution that they were getting back then was persecution um, of joining Jesus, let's say, system or his way of
hmm
living. That's what they were
hmm
denouncing.
Yeah,
It's got nothing to do with
yeah,
their
yeah,
form of persecution now.
yeah, yeah.
They're
They
not
don't
being
know. Jehovah
persecuted
Witness. I
because
mean,
they're
unless
doing such wonderful
yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah. Taken to court is not persecution. I mean, come on, man. If you in the past, these people thrown in lions' dens. These people sit on chairs with spikes, ripped in half. These people, I mean, persecution. You want to look at persecution? Look at the people burned on the stake. Going to court is not no doggone persecution, man. That's something else. That's you did some crime and you standing up to defend yourself. If you can't defend yourself, you go to jail. That's it. How is going to court persecution? It's like that don't make no
Mona
sense.
Marine Mona Marine, I just don't want to miss the point that she made. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
But
but
no,
this
go ahead.
comment will leave too fast if I don't catch it. Jumanji, when you talked about children being DF'd for smoking, the governing body get a pass for false teachings. Penny said they should be DF'd for their lying teachings. That's a good comment.
hmm Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I highlighted it. That was a good comment. But
They are
who's gonna
responsible for
disfellowship
all
them?
of the life of all of the people. And if they make an oops,
hmm
then it's like Mona said, it's a free pass. But if somebody has a cigarette, they're disfellowshipped.
hmm Fellowship, yeah.
It's totally
And
what she said. Hmm.
yeah. Realize that smoking, you got to wean yourself off the addiction. They sit there and say, "Oh yeah, you got 6 months." Okay, but 6 months. I mean, yeah, cigarette smoking is bad, but it's like they come and say do this or else. But yeah, the governing body sit there and who's going to report them? Because somebody can come report us to the elders, okay? But who's going to report the governing body? I don't see them hanging around the average Joe. I don't see the governing body hanging around fraternizing with the average Joe for anybody to go tell another governing body member. You know what I'm saying? I don't see anybody doing that. So they can do whatever they want to, and they're just is like a club where, like the elders. Some elders will not report their child because they're gonna be scared of losing their position. When I went to me and this other guy. He was son of an elder. We went to go shoot pool. It was like 5 or 6 of us, and it was too much drinks going around, and two of them got to a fight. Me and this other dude, we trying to break them up. So the mom of the boy called me the next day and asked me questions like, oh, did they invite such and such? I'm like, don't get me a line. So they call and interrogated me to try to incriminate the other guy when her son was the instigator because he was the elder. And so it's the same to the governing body. It's like, well, we'll just keep it within the room. We're keeping it in the closet. So how do you just fellowship a governing body member? It never happened unless they become Ray friends or something. They got to
But
just fellowship themselves.
that's what they have to do. But you see, Jehovah's Witnesses are so conditioned to know that they have no power to object. But Jeffrey Jackson on the stand said that it's the branched offices that have to contact headquarters when scriptures are breached.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when I've called the branch office and I've said, look at, if I'm spiritually sick, the elders are called. What happens when the governing body is spiritually sick? The
Hmm.
branch offices have to be there for the head, for the governing body, bring them back to earth. But no, instead the elders were just advised to just get disfellowship and get gone, whoever was dissenting.
Hmm.
So to the
But
extent that we
who's
have what we have.
but who, and over there, who's higher than the governing body? Because I think if the governing body were to ever be seen getting counsel from somebody lower than them, that would mess up their whole vision. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh man, you see Jeffrey Jackson getting counseled by a circuit overseer. It would mess up their whole vision. Like I couldn't imagine them sitting there taking counsel from everybody. It's like we are
Well,
the
the thing is,
highest.
you're right there. They would say, "Oh, well, we get our guidance from Jesus. Jesus is the one that will correct us."
Hmm.
No, they killed way
Yeah,
too
but how did
many
he correct them?
people. He is.
Yeah, yeah,
This is being corrected. This is being corrected because the only
yeah.
way that things can
Hmm.
change is if people will change it. Jesus didn't
Hmm.
care that the people
Exactly.
didn't like what he was saying. He died for it.
Hmm.
and and this
Hmm.
is what the example that Jehovah's Witnesses were to take when we were in school and being receiving persecution for not celebrating the holidays that other kids were celebrating. That was supposed to be
Hmm.
persecution that we were happy to take. Well, it turns
Hmm.
out that we were just being used as pawns to get religious
Hmm.
status.
Hmm.
Jehovah's Witness
Exactly.
children wear the pawns so that the watchtower could get JWs to have religious status.
Hmm. And you use kids. That's wrong. You don't use kids for that stuff, man. If you want to do that, send Jeffrey Jackson out there. Do they even go door to door? I don't think the governing body even go door to door. That's the thing.
No,
I don't
their
think they go
their
door to door.
service as the slave is their their CEO work. People think that they don't get money. They get big money. They get paid like a CEO would get paid. Chief Executive Officer. They get money.
Mm.
They're not real slaves
Mm.
like they made children be. They're called a slave only. Did you see Jeffrey Jackson being handed the books on the at the Australian Royal Commission? He didn't even have to open his
Yeah,
own
yeah.
book.
Hmm.
He
Yeah,
got his
exactly. Yeah.
water handed to
That's
him.
ridiculous.
Um,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
that's ridiculous.
Jesus wasn't put up on a pedestal like that. And we were
Hmm.
always told that the governing body was not any more special, I should say, than anyone else, just like Jesus was not more special than anyone else. In fact, we know that Jesus
Of
washed the
course.
feet of his apostles to prove that he was serving them, that he
Of course.
was no better, but he had the responsibility of showing an example.
Exactly. All right, I'm gonna go through
Okay.
this last technique. It's called plain folks. Says it's
Oh,
technique where speaker will condescend and appear empathetic in order to gain the trust of the audience. So when you hear things as in a it'd be a letter from the governing body loves you. And I can't remember it's a broadcast where they had like outtakes from the JW broadcast where the governing body was goofing around and laughing, they was messing up on stuff. What they do is they appear like, okay, we are just like you guys. A salesperson would do this too, like, yeah, I was once broke. I understand that you can't afford these things, but I was just like you. But then I invested and I was able to do it. And everybody does the same thing too. Even in Caleb Sophia, there was a Caleb Sophia where you got Anthony Moore sitting there like he reading a book, and he say the governing body understands how it is to have children. I got children of my own, you know, and it's to get the trust of the people that the governing body understands. But they don't understand what it's like. Okay, I gotta ask for time off. When I get back, my job might not be there. Everybody understand that. They don't work a job where they have to ask for time off. They don't understand where you have to pay your rent and things like that because they don't have to pay rent. So you sitting there condescending is all fake because you're not living in my shoes. You don't even come out and walk the streets like me.
Jumanji,
You don't
you're
go
right.
to door and somebody, yeah, go door to door and put somebody got the gun in your head and let the dogs on. You don't do that. You fly first class. I ain't never flew first class. You got these big Rolex watches and these expensive cars. You living in a compound. I ain't never lived in that. Everything I got to pay for myself. So when the governing body sit there and say they love you, how you love me if I go to your compound, you can't even come out and talk to me. I can't even sit there and have a drink with you. Would have worked. This is what would have worked in my opinion. They should have took that Jeffrey Jackson when he was in that thing buying out alcohol, put that on JW. The governing body drinks just like you guys.
Oh,
We're
you
no
mean
different. We drink on the same
Anthony
like you guys.
Morris? Anthony
Yeah,
Morris
yeah.
was the
They
culprit.
could have put that
Hmm.
on. Yeah, yeah. Put that on there and show that you guys drink too, man. Y'all have a good time too. Y'all buying that whiskey and stuff. I ain't bought no expensive whiskey like that. You know what I'm saying? But you drink just like me, man. Come on, be real
Yeah,
with it.
well,
But
they can say,
they'll
well,
kind of.
Jesus made wine from water. Um, but the
But
fact is that
he didn't spend donation money to do that.
true.
Yeah, he didn't even feel it was donation to do that. He hid that.
Yeah. So anybody who
All right.
who
Yeah, you got.
was who was showing a bad example in the public, whether it was you or I, would be reprimanded. We can't let people
Hmm.
insert in our community know that we're excessive drinkers. But our
Hmm.
governing body can be
Yeah, we
excessive
can't. Yeah,
drinkers.
exactly. Hmm. Just don't let people know. Go drive across town and get your alcohol. Don't
Well, sure, I
go to a whole nother
remember.
city.
Mhm.
Yeah, wear your little hat and your little what's that trench coat.
Trench
Try to be
coat.
incognito. He wore a trench coat in the rain. That's how you tell you're trying to be incognito.
Gumshoe Morris, Gumshoe Tony.
Yep.
No, it's really
Yeah.
when I was speaking with my father about the Australian Royal Commission, I told my father that I was totally humiliated and embarrassed that he could not even defend his own
Hmm.
faith. He could not defend his faith like we children had to defend our faith in
Hmm.
school, and we it wasn't even our faith. We had to defend the faith of our parents, not our faith.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. Hit that right on the head. Yep.
Quotes out of
Yep.
context is
You're exactly
interesting too.
right.
Yeah, and there
All right.
the organization is the Watchtower, of course, always took people's quotes out of context. and there was no way of there was no way of comparing. Nobody had the right
Yeah.
to criticize. You just had to eat up whatever they printed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Hold on. All right.
I can't see the comments. Do we have more comments coming in?
Oh yeah. Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to trying to look up something because I wanna show this one part I wanted to show. Yeah, I gotta actually put if you wanna see the comment, you got probably gotta look on YouTube and see them because they don't really show them here unless here I'll put one. Hold on, uh, David Wicklin. I'll put him on there. Hold on for a minute, and then I'm gonna look for something on their website, and then I'll be right back.
Okay.
You keep talking, Penny.
David
Yeah,
said we
I'm
had a
looking up something.
David said we had a CO in Chicago named Larry King in 1996, who stated in a platform talk, if you're doing 5 hours or less in the ministry, you're doing just enough to make you miserable. If you do more than 1 hour, you are miserable. Thanks,
Yeah,
David.
he said. He said you doing just enough to hate it.
you you're just pathetic enough to do that. Only 5.
Oh my God. Let me see.
If
Hold
you're
on.
going to
I'm
make
looking for
yourself
this
miserable,
article
go
real
all
quick.
the way and be a pioneer, and then you know what miserable is.
Oh yeah, yeah. You don't know nothing about misery till you been a pioneer. No,
I
what's the
remember I
super pioneer?
remember
What was the
my
other one?
special pioneer, I
It
think.
was some. It wasn't. It was. Yeah, especially. Yeah, yeah. You don't know misery till you been a special pioneer.
I remember
You.
my friend was a pioneer, a regular pioneer, and she was the kindest girl, but she developed bulimia. She
Mm-hmm.
she was not happy with herself. She was not happy with
Mm,
herself. And so she would eat to make herself feel better. She loved certain cookies. She would eat them. And then this is before I knew it was even a thing, bulimia. I never heard of it before. It was years later when I knew it was
mm-hmm.
an emotional condition. And yeah, she told me that she would throw up after she ate her cookies.
Yeah.
And years later, I realized
And
that
now,
she was a sad girl.
yeah. Now bulimia. That's a. Now I know they're anorexia, and I'm not too hip on those things.
Oh,
Is
bulimia is
that caused by a mental
when you
disease?
purge. I think it's a well, I'm not an expert, but it's emotional. It's emotional.
Okay.
And she would what
Yeah.
bulimia is that
Okay.
you would purge, you would throw it up after you've eaten it.
Now, is that due to outer influences, low self-esteem, or you think it might be brain?
No, this is the consequences
'Cause-
of not feeling good enough, uh, or only 5 hours. Are you not getting
mhm.
your whole commitment of pioneer hours? You would be chastised if you
Yes.
didn't, and then you would be told you're not good enough.
Yes.
It's not like you don't hear it at the
Mhm.
meeting all the time that are you doing
Yeah. Yeah.
the most you can?
Hmm.
But in her
Most
case,
definitely.
her oldest sister was
And you
disfellowshipped.
just.
She lost her sister. She didn't have her sister.
Mm,
If that's not enough, it's one thing to lose somebody in death. It's another thing to lose somebody because the organization that you're associated with has barred you from them.
Hmm. Yeah, that's yeah,
That's emotional.
it just
I remember when
yeah.
my sister was disfellowshipped. I went through horrible emotional pain with that. And I know that when I was disfellowshipped, my younger siblings went through horrible emotional pain as well. Not
Hmm.
just not just not just us kids, but I know my father was horribly upset.
Hmm.
This is
Yeah,
all
that's
this is all
ridiculous.
emotional traumas. And no wonder they didn't want
Uh-huh.
anybody to go to experts for psychological or help, because then the experts would find out the uh, the true nature of the organization.
Hmm.
Woman of the Nang said mental
Yeah,
health
speaking of
issues are
mental
rife
illness,
in the organization: depression, eating disorders, anxiety, compulsive behavior disorder or issues, compulsive behavior issues. Yes,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, I suffered when I was part. I had it's like a cloud was over my head because I felt I wasn't doing enough. I felt that man, I could be always doing more. It's like I wasn't fulfilling something. It's like you never what do you call it? It's a feeling that no matter how good you are, you're never good enough. And that's the feeling I had when I was in there. And start to think, man, if God understands your situation, created know when to say He does, I should never have that feeling. You know what I'm saying? So they say one thing, God understands, but if that's true, then none of your members should be feeling depressed or like they're not doing enough because they know God understands my situation and I'm doing the best I can. But majority of witnesses feel they're not doing enough. They can always do more because they always push you more, and that's not good. You keep pushing a person, you're gonna burn them out. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
my father said to me, he said, you could work a horse to death. You can kill a horse by working it to death.
Hmm.
A horse will work until it's dead, but a donkey won't.
Hmm. That's why they call him a jackass. All right. Anyway, let me go to. I'm gonna show this. I'm gonna share this. Um, Let me share this screen, and then I think we'll end it on there. But I want to show something real quick. This is interesting. See the watchtower. Let me see. Oh, uh-oh. Yeah. The watchtower has been known. Let me see if I can see it. Okay. Can y'all see? Can you see that, Penny?
It came on and then it's gone. No.
Came out. Okay. Here we. Okay. The watchtower. You ever heard that saying? When you point at somebody, you have three fingers pointing back at you.
Three, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, my wife tells my kids that all the time. What the watchtower would do is they would write an article, and they
Oh,
really describing themselves. This is from the Wake 2000. They wrote a whole article on propaganda, and it shows you that they understand propaganda. They studied it. They understand it, the ins and outs, and how to use it. It's from the Wake 2000. It says propaganda can be deadly. But it's funny how they go through just talked about. They go through every technique and they talk about how it's used. Never mind. Let me see. Because then when they point to the Catholic Church, a lot of times articles about the Catholic Church, they really describing themselves. But
right.
see, the witnesses are reading it's like, yeah. The witnesses reading, oh man, that's yeah, the Catholic Church is bad. But they realize they reading about the whole witness. Let me see. I want to show some of these things they did uh here. It says one lies. And no, this is not true. One part of propaganda is the best place to put a truth is between two lies. You see what I'm saying? That's what your witnesses do. What they're putting in this article is that, oh, if it's a lie, it's propaganda. No, it's misinformation. That's what the Watchtower is full of. Information. making generalization that, oh, we didn't talk about the glittering. That's all right though. We don't need to because we went on a little further. But glittering generations, name calling, and they use all these things. But then they make a whole awake article on propaganda and don't realize they're telling members what they're doing to them.
Well, do you remember when the governing body member was talking about how you can't trust the media
Uh
because they know that the media uses the same propaganda techniques as they do?
huh. Yeah, that's right. That is so right, man. They yeah. You might realize, and
You just make a
you think
statement, and nobody can object to it, because if you do, you'll get the reprisals. You'll
uh
get kicked to the curb, or socially rejected, or marked, or however they want to say it. All this these terminologies that they use. They should have a glossary of terms,
huh.
for the vocabulary. But anyways, the point I was making was that they can just make accusations, and you're just supposed to accept it. Just
Mhm.
like just like the propaganda techniques that they use in the bigger society, in the media, where they just accuse somebody of something without any proof. Oh,
Mhm.
Russia brought that plane down without any proof,
Mhm.
no second witness, nothing,
Mhm.
no evidence, and then after the
Yeah.
fact, they find out that, um, or people find out that it was bogus,
Yeah.
and
It's kind of
then
like
they. Mhm.
oh no, go ahead. No, I thought you were done.
No,
Go
I'm
ahead.
finished.
Oh, okay. It's kind of
I'm
like
finished.
right now, who's the king of the south? Who is Russia the king of the north or the south? Who do they say
North.
Russia is?
Well, they say north, but anyways,
Yeah.
north.
Okay. So that's another way of playing. Okay, we know Russia is banning us. Let's throw them as king of the south, and people will believe it. Our witnesses will believe it because they already enemy already. So Russia's the king of the north. What proof you have? Russia's the king of the north. King of the north of what? What north of what? What is it? What is this north? What is north of? North of California? North of Jerusalem? North? What is? I mean, north is a big area. You know what I'm saying?
North of 60. The six.
Yeah, that could be anything, man. Like, so you gonna pick Russia because they banned y'all? Okay, Russia is the Antichrist. It's like, come on, man.
Okay, no,
So
but
this
now,
thing I want to show right here.
listen. The Toronto Argonauts, the Toronto Raptors. I think it was Toronto Raptors, maybe.
Uh huh. Yeah, that's the
Either
basketball
the
team.
Raptors or the Argonauts. I'm not sure. I'm not. I don't follow sports, but they came up with this slogan: "We are the North." So maybe we're the North. Maybe
Oh
they're
yeah,
the
maybe they
North.
are. Yeah,
Maybe not.
maybe.
Maybe it's not Russia that's the North.
Maybe it's Toronto Raptors because Toronto Raptors didn't let us use the stadium for our convention, so they are the king of the north.
Oh
They even
yes,
said, yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. That's it. Okay, here's the thing right here. It says plan on emotion. It says even though feelings might be irrelevant when it comes to factual claims or they play a crucial role in persuasion. Emotional appeals are fabricated by who play on feelings as skillful as Bert. Okay, Virtuoso plays the piano, but you look at the JW broadcast now. They got this emotional music, and then they have a lot of scenes where the people are like tearing up and crying. And it's
Hmm.
something to men when we see a woman cry. It's something in our inner thing that wants to rescue her. That's the man's makeup. We want to rescue a woman that we see crying or tears coming. And the Watchtower does that now. They show a lot of parts in them dramas or them experiences they done broadcast. People are sitting there tearing up and crying. And then they play this old dramatic music, and that dramatic music goes on emotion. That's another way they do propaganda through that JW. The JW broadcast is that's a extreme way they use that propaganda. They do these emotional or these dramatic music in the background to get your emotions riled up by what they're about to say.
Hmm.
I'm gonna show one more. I'm gonna show one more, and I'll cut this off real quick. Let me show you one more. This is funny how they do this. Oh, and they talking about themselves. Some people insult those who disagree with them by questioning character or motives.
Mhm.
instead of focusing on the facts. This is what elders do when you come and ask them something about. They're gonna question your motive. Where do you hear that from, son? Are you questioning the organization? Name calling slaps a negative, easy to remember label onto a person, a group, or an idea. Yeah, so watchtower means apostate like that. So
Mhm.
it's just this whole article, and they was describing themselves. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let me
Yes.
stop sharing this real quick. Okay. All right. All right. So yeah, that's all I wanted. Pretty much all I want to share. You have anything else you wanted to add,
No, I
Penny?
think I would just like to say thank you for inviting me on, and for reinforcing this, you know, this tool that Watchtower and Jehovah's Witnesses are also using, as well as, you know, the media to just motivate or persuade or sway personal sway opinion, and we can take time to look into research it a little bit more if we didn't do um, a thorough job of it. But um, this to me is just a reinforcement of how they are no part of they are every bit a part of the world in opposition to what Jesus said his kingdom was.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
that's my deal.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, I thank you for coming on, man. I was looking for collaborations because it's as I said, hold on, let me see if I can put myself back on here. I took myself off. Okay. Yeah, because I pretty much said everything I need to say about the organization. As far as me, I'm moving on with my life. I'm trying to raise my kids and get things
Hmm.
in order. You know what I'm saying? I don't even Joe Willis doesn't really get my thoughts during the day. I might watch a couple of HJW videos. They bring something to mind that I want to speak on. But I appreciate you coming on and
Oh, thanks. Hmm.
taking time to deal with me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes
Well,
I just like different
let me just tell
attitude.
you that I would binge watch the former JW videos, and yours are one of the ones that I got a kick out of because you said things in a way that was very candid and honest, and it reinforced the thoughts that I was having. So I'm absolutely sure
Hmm.
that you've helped a lot of people who were really in a state of conflict and thought the same things. And um, it is healing when you don't when you can relate to somebody else that you're not the crazy one. You're not the only one that thinks that way. And I wanted to thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's a form of therapy because you go out and try to talk to someone of the world, they're not gonna know what you're talking about. They're not gonna understand where you're coming from. So I appreciate that, man. But on that note, man, we've been on here for 2 hours. I expect that, but there's just so much in there, man. And Anonymous Vaughn said we did a great job. Oh, of course we do a great job, man. We
Thank
don't
you.
do nothing less, man. We do nothing less on this channel. Not the, in our little humble opinion, you know what I'm saying? So I want to thank everybody for watching. Southern Boss, to your comments. I was trying to get a lot of information in a little bit of time. But thank you guys for commenting and watching the video, man. And thank you, Penny,
Yes.
for coming on. And again, if anybody want to do a collaboration with me, just send me an email. I'll come on for you guys. Hold on, let me put my email up. Um, shut. It is my internet is slow, man. I'm paying Comcast, and they got slow. I don't know, man. Comcast used to be good. They going down the drain. Whatever the case that may be, but it's all right. All right. So I'm putting my email up here, man. If anybody wants to do a collaboration, get your story out, email me, and can get something going on. Um, let me see. Okay, and so that's it right there. Yeah, Penny checked out. But thank you guys again for coming out, and I'm about to go enjoy my day, man. Peace.